I try to accomplish basically with my photographs is trying to get some kind of interesting thing that people want to identify with. Whether it's people, whether it's places. I've traveled a lot. I like to spend time looking at people and seeing what they're thinking about and try to see if I can put it together in some fashion that would make other people interesting in seeing my photographs. Catching people in their thoughts, try to, because people very often convert their thoughts into their facial expressions. And if you can catch them, they're very interesting because then you can sort of view them of what they're about. So it gives you some insight into that person. And then of course there's, there's something visually interesting about architecture. I mean, the way things fit together, the design of places that are of interest. And then you get into the historical issues, such as things that are disappearing. I mean, I've taken pictures in Brooklyn, in the Red Hook area, where that total manufacturing or industrial part is disappearing. And it's always interesting to look back at your photographs and see 10 years ago what it looked like and what it looks like now. I must have been about 16, and I had one of these AGFA bellows cameras, and I remember taking pictures at night. I somehow was intrigued with taking pictures at night, and I don't know, I just sort of like started with it. My mother, who was an artist, but I used to work with her in I did some drawing and she did the painting, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the beginning of my art career. With the advent of digital and the smart cell telephone, the general public can now take photographs in a candid way very easily. Matter of fact, in my book, I have 3 or 4 photographs I've taken with my cell phone camera because I didn't have my regular camera, and it's amazing what you can capture. Snapshots, candid photography. I mean, everyone goes around now with a cell phone that's got a camera in it, and it's something that a lot of people do, but to do a good picture is another issue. But sometimes you just come upon it. I'm impatient with doing something that's kind of stationary or static. And I'm a very active person, and visually I'm always stimulated by things around me. So if you're visually oriented, you got to use it in some fashion, which is either in 3-dimension like sculpture or photography or painting. Someone was taking pictures of people, just the people in the audience and the faces, the expressions, and how people, and what's going on in their mind, how they show them in their expressions. Some were crying, some were carrying on, etc. So those are the kind of people pictures I like to take. I could stand out on West Broadway in front of Zabar's and get a whole feeling of what's going on in that area by the kind of people that are there. The interesting thing about photography in general is creating an historical record to look back at. I think most people are interested, like you see here, of what things used to look like. I mean, things are changing so rapidly today that I think having something to refer to, what it used to look like, is interesting in itself. The industrial activity that used to be in this area is all disappearing, and sort of recording it and recording the buildings that in some cases are being destroyed is a very interesting historical record to sort of like record. And I think people are very interested in that. I think they want to see what the past looked like. Brooklyn, which used to be very industrial, is going. I mean, I have photographs of a sugar factory, which was in the Red Hook part of Brooklyn, doesn't exist anymore.
We really need to explore what's happening in the New York, New Jersey areas. And he, along with another gentleman named Walter LaCroix, and Robert Lebeau produced the most wonderful architectural, industrial photographs of long-gone edifices that used to exist. Good friends here at the Belsky Museum and the library were looking for a good fall exhibit, and so I suggested Joe, and they had a committee meeting. They decided that they would like to have his work shown here, and it's very relevant for our contemporary audience and collectors.
We chose Joe as a New York City artist and as a photographer so that the audience can see something of New York City. Museums can be somewhat intimidating, but this is more on a friendly term. And we reach a wide range of people, from toddlers to senior citizens. The library is open from 9 to 9, and we're happy that I think it's being very successful.
The whole world of photography is opening up and getting recognition from museums. The Whitney, MoMA, the Metropolitan Museum, they're all showing wonderful photography that in some cases has been manipulated or photoshopped or has been turned into, perhaps several mediums within one image. So it's been delightful to have an opportunity to do this.
A book is something everyone would like to have published about what they do. And the thought, from my point of view, was, how do I get exposure? How do I get to people I would like to get to in terms of showing my work? We came up with a process so that it went from people, which I was very involved with in terms of photographing, because I do a lot of street photography, and places, because I've done a lot of traveling, and Photoshop, and doing ideas that can be manipulated with Photoshop. I'd like more and more people to be interested in my work, and I think the book is a great introduction to that. It certainly gives a good description of the various interests I have and the kind of things I do. And I hope with the lecture and the book signing that more and more people become more familiar with my work.